sucks for you guys because Trump has put you in a very difficult position because as my colleagues have said here, right, if Joe Biden or any other Democrat would have said this, you'd be like, that's ridiculous.
I don't know you very well, but I can assure you that the condition of Donald Trump being the president versus Joe Biden in no way, shape, or form sucks for me or Jim.
I think it's quite difficult to defend somebody who puts you in a position of saying we should put somebody else besides Americans first, especially when he's just given billions of dollars to bail out Argentina.
I think first of all, it was a currency swap, which we made a profit on. Number two, it's quite easy for me to be perfectly comfortable with the President of the United States, who's presiding over a broad coalition that does have disparate views. The previous administration, you couldn't sit here and tell me who the hell was in charge. I know who's in charge.
You're right,
of this
and I'm not going to defend it. I'm not sitting here to defend.
Hey, welcome to Crazy Media. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. We've got a great video for you today. We have got Scott Bessent and Jennings absolutely destroying the media over their latest attempt at lying about the Trump administration. The latest lie is that instead of putting America first, Trump bailed out Argentina to the tune of $20 billion, which, just so everybody knows, did not happen. That is a play on words. That is an attempt to drive a wedge into the MAGA base by saying, oh, no. Look, Trump, instead of helping everybody else out, gave $20 billion to Argentina, which he did not do. Scott Jennings has it right there. That was a credit swap. And then he moved on. But we've got two videos from Scott Bessent where he explains it to Laura Ingraham and then absolutely lays out the knuckleheads on Morning Joe on MSNBC, BS Now. I guess it'll be officially BS Now here at the end of the year. But you've got to see this. It's great stuff. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. Resnap in the house. So glad you made a live. It's awesome to have you here. Please, if you're watching, let us know you're here in the comments. Smash that like button for us. Subscribe, please. It really helps us out with the YouTube algorithm. All right, let's dive into Scott Bessent, Treasury Secretary, as he explains exactly what the Trump administration is doing in Argentina. First, he's going to explain it to Laura Ingraham, who had some questions. I thought he did a masterful job, and then we're going to watch him destroy the left-wing knuckleheads who try to lie about it. Here we go.
Explain to our viewers what is going on with Argentina, because the U.S. Treasury today directly purchased Argentine pesos and finalized this $20 billion currency swap framework with Argentina's central bank. So the intent, I guess, is to provide assistance from the Latin American country's economic turmoil. It's clear how Argentina benefits from this deal. What do we get out of it?
We get a lot out of it. Argentina is a beacon in Latin America. President Milei has done the right thing. He is trying to break 100 years of a bad cycle in Argentina. He is also a great ally for the U.S. He'll be coming to the Oval Office next Tuesday, and he is committed to getting China out of Argentina. They're all over the place in Latin America. And when people say to me, how is this not America first? I'll tell you why it's not. Do you want to be shooting at more gunboats like in Venezuela? We do not want a failed state.
So this isn't a bailout?
Sorry, it's not a bailout at all. There's no money being transferred. The ESF has never lost money. It's not going to lose money here. I was in the investment business, mostly currencies, for 40 years. You're supposed to buy low, sell high, and the Argentine peso is undervalued. We're going to have an election in Argentina the 26th of this month. We think President Milei will do quite well, and he is putting the Peronist path behind them. And people in the U.S., especially on the left, they are willing to, Senator Warren tried to put a bill in front of the Senate that the Exchange Stabilization Fund could not bail out Argentina, which I think is rich because she's an American Peronist. Don't cry for me, Massachusetts. And when Joe Biden was in office, what was their idea of foreign aid? It was circumcisions in Malawi and drag shows in Central America. So
exactly. This is not a bailout. He explained it beautifully. There's two things you have to realize. This is a credit swap or a currency swap, whichever terms you want to use, because we're going to get into a little bit of nuance when he destroys Morning Joe. But this is not a bailout. We did not give them $20 billion. We bought or essentially transferred, swapped pesos for dollars, giving them liquidity. And this was all done under an already established fund by Congress, the Exchange Stabilization Fund. So they didn't do anything out of the ordinary. This is something that's been done before. That's why the ESF, the Exchange Stabilization Fund, exists, is to help our allies in times of liquidity issues. Because remember, America is still the reserve currency. The US dollar is still the reserve currency for all foreign transactions if they want to use it. It is the foreign currency that all that all oil is bought in. That's why it's called petrodollars. So this is why we've been able to rack up such enormous debts and not have inflation go through the roof, or our interest rates go through the roof, because we are still the reserve currency. That's something that needs to remain. But this is absolutely true. We did not give them money. We exchanged dollars for pesos when the peso is very low. And as he said, we are going to make money on this. Like any currency trader will tell you, any trader, buy low, sell high. So we essentially, exchanged pesos, dollars for pesos when they are very low. And after Milei gets elected and they get past this little liquidity issue, the peso will increase in value, at which point we'll swap them back. It's a beautiful thing. It's absolutely amazing. Now, here he is taking on the knuckleheads on Morning Joe, Morning Blow, as Resnap said, 100% correct. Because they tried to frame it as a bailout. They tried to get him with a gotcha question. Oh, we're bailing out Argentina when America needs help. Check this out. This is awesome because Jennings already owned the knuckleheads on CNN. So here's Besant owning the morons on MSNBC or BS now. Here we go.
Argentina help Americans. You're the president's point person on that. Can you explain to those here who are feeling the pinch, including America's farmers, why the United States is helping out Argentina?
Well, do you know what a swap line is?
It's a currency swap, yes.
Yes, but what is that?
You're the Treasury Secretary.
Yes, but why would you call it a bailout?
That is how.
Exactly. You know what a currency swap is. He just asked you. That's why he asked you the question. He didn't want you to explain it. He wasn't asking for your expertise. He just wanted to prove to the world that this knucklehead knows what a currency swap is, and yet they called it a bailout. They lied on TV. They tried to get Scott Besant in a gotcha, and he basically exposed their fraudulent nonsense. This is beautiful for Besant. Then he goes into depth.
You don't make money. The U.S. government made money. We used our financial balance sheet to stabilize the government. One of our great allies in Latin America, during an election, the president there won in a landslide. The government's going to make money, and I would rather use peace through economic strength than have to be shooting at narco boats coming offshore if the government collapsed. We have a generational opportunity in Latin America to create allies. We just saw an election in Bolivia. We're probably going to see an election in Colombia. We've seen them in Ecuador. We're going to see them in Chile. So by stabilizing the economy there and making a profit, then that's a very good deal for the American people. And there's a lot we could have been doing for American farmers, but Democrats closed the government.
So how has the United States made?
Exactly. This is a beautiful thing. We have a talented pro-America leader in Argentina. We haven't had that for a long time. Remember, we've been fighting socialism and communism and corruption throughout Central and South America for decades. Now we've got a stalwart ally in Argentina in Javier Milei. And all the American government is doing is supporting that government, not with aid, not with handouts, not with giveaways. We're not giving them anything. We're basically offering our balance sheet to provide liquidity in a credit swap, in a currency swap of up to $20 billion. And again, we get pesos, they get dollars. So we're not giving anything away. This is beautiful. And we could have been helping lots of farmers, as these knuckleheads want to do, but the government's been shut down for 40 days because the Democrats want to give health care to illegal aliens and give hundreds of billions of dollars in direct subsidy payments to their insurance company donors. But let's get back to Besant destroying BS now.
Money off of this, and you talk about trying to make more regional relationships. The United States is shooting alleged narco boats in international waters off the coast of Venezuela. The United States has not provided evidence yet that those are indeed drug traffickers. So how are these two things working in tandem?
We are preempting the collapse of a government and going back to a Peronist agenda and a left-wing government. What if somebody had raised their hand and said, look at what's happening with Hugo Chavez, look at what's happening with Maduro, and they help the opposition there?
Yeah, hey, Mr. Secretary.
Exactly. If somebody would have stepped in when Cuba was outsourcing communism to many other nations in Central and South America, we could have stopped a lot of the nonsense that we're dealing with the narco terrorists now. It was Cuba that basically went and provided quote unquote aid. They were backed by Soviet Russia. So they took Soviet money and they went into Colombia, they went into Nicaragua, they went into Venezuela, and they started fomenting communist revolutions by running around and promoting candidates who said things like, we'll give you free health care, we'll give you free buses, we'll give you free stuff. Well, none of that stuff was free. It ended up costing them everything. Scott Besant is 100% right.
I'm just curious, just to clarify, have we made our money back already from the Argentina bailout or the swap line or whatever you call it? Have we made that money back now? Are you saying we're going to make that money back from them over time? Like, what's the payout for that?
Joe, we already have a profit on that swap line.
So we
already have a profit. It hasn't even been, a couple of weeks, and we're already making money. This is what people like Besant and Trump and the others that he has put in charge of the economic functions of the U.S. government are able to do. They're actually knowledgeable. They're not Janet Yellen, who wouldn't know a balance sheet if it bit her in the butt. This is great stuff.
Have we given them, did we transfer $20 billion?
No,
and we've already gotten back?
Absolutely not. We made a line of credit available, and a small amount of it was drawn on, and we have made a profit on.
Of course.
We didn't even transfer money. We made a line of credit available. So Argentina says, okay, we need dollars for liquidity in order to pay supply, importers or buy oil or whatever they need to do. They need US dollars. So they have a line of credit with the US government at an interest rate, essentially, and basically they say, okay, we need dollars. So we're going to provide pesos at the exchange rate. We get dollars back against our line of credit, and we've already made money. This is the beautiful thing. The Trump administration has already made money on this. We haven't given them a single dollar. It's merely a line of credit swap. That's all it is. And Besant absolutely owns these people. So once again, the leftist propaganda media is caught in their TDS trying to lie about Trump, trying to do anything to derail the Trump agenda, trying to do anything to harm America and put the liberal progressive communists back in charge in any way, shape, or form they can get. This is what the propaganda media does. This is what BS Now and CNN and CBS and ABC and NBC, this is what they're all about. They are beholden not to Americans. They're not even beholden to ratings as much. They're beholden to their globalist puppet masters who want to destroy America. That's why they puppet these stories. That's why they create these lies. That's why 60 Minutes deceptively edits interviews. That's why BBC completely edits Trump speeches to create an absolute lie, a falsehood. It's all connected. Hey, I really appreciate everybody rolling out. Please smash that like button, subscribe, turn on the notifications. All right. So I want to dive into another story. I was looking and Benny Johnson had a really interesting little snippet on what it looks ostensibly as Charlie Kirk's last ex-post, his last tweet. And I thought it was amazing because I thought it sums up so much about what Charlie is and what he fought for in terms of America first. Charlie was the ultimate MAGA. And it is such a shame that he is no longer around because he provided, he had an ear to Trump, and he provided a voice of reason in terms of always America first and MAGA to the Trump administration. But check out this opening clip, and then we're going to get into Charlie Kirk's, basically his last tweet before he was assassinated. Check this out.
Immigration without assimilation is an invasion. Immigration without assimilation is an invasion. I love our Cuban immigrants and our Venezuelan immigrants and our Colombian immigrants, and I love our Persian immigrants. I know we have some here in the audience, but you came here and you assimilated. You still had an attachment from where you came from, but this became your home. This became the place where you said, I'm willing to serve, I'm willing to give, I'm willing to do whatever it takes. I'm sorry, when I look at Zohran Mamdani, I don't think this person has assimilated to the United States of America. He is bringing foreign, un-American ideas and trying to bring them into the mayor's race and the mayor's office. In Minneapolis, they are on pace right now to elect a Zohran Mamdani equivalent by the name of Omar Fatah, a Somali Muslim. Siggy knows all about this. The mayor of South Portland, Maine, is a Somali Muslim by the name of Dalak Dalakwa. What we're seeing, unfortunately, is our generosity being taken advantage of. And if we look at our immigration policies, it does not, the legal-illegal distinction mattered previously. Now the more important distinction, since there's no more illegal immigration, you know how many people came across illegally last month? 0. That conversation is over. That's awesome. The more important distinction is, are you an immigrant that will kiss the ground when you enter America? Or will you be an immigrant that goes to war against the American people when you come to America? That is the distinction. And there is a commonality here. And this is where I get in a lot of trouble. That's why I have to have bodyguards. It's so fun. I am one of the unique and only people in America that has death threats from 2 different types of jihadis. Islamist jihadis and purple-haired jihadis that call themselves trans-activists. It's pretty interesting. I get the death threats from both sides. Everybody. So what does this mean for our nation and for our country? As Siggy beautifully put it, this is a fight for who we are as Americans. The fight is ongoing.
Charlie Kirk hit it exactly. This is a fight for the soul of America. It is a fight for who America is, what America is as a nation. For 200 years, we offered a beacon of hope to the world. We were the capitalist nation built on freedom and inalienable rights. That has been changing over the last 50 years. Why? Because the progressive, communist, globalist left has created a system of unchecked, unfettered, unassimilated immigration, both legal and illegal. Now, as Charlie Kirk said, the illegal immigration, because of Trump right now, is essentially over. There is no illegal immigration. Border crossings are near 0, and those that are actually released into the country is a big fat goose egg. Nobody who crosses the border illegally is released into the country. They are sent back to Mexico or their country of origin. They are not catch and release. They're not granted anything. They are told to go home. So we have essentially 0 illegal immigration. Essentially 0. I mean, you're going to find somebody who comes in legally, overstays their visa. Yes, those are still going to happen, but they're being found, and as they're found, they're deported. But so essentially, illegal immigration is at 0. But what we still have is massive amounts of, again, legal immigration, visa overstays, and even within the legal framework of immigration, we have a whole segment of people who do not want to be Americans. They don't want to assimilate. They don't want to become Americans. They don't want to adopt our culture. They want to invade. They want to balkanize. That's why you've got entire communities in places like Dearborn, Michigan, and in the Somali community in Minneapolis that are trying to do things like institute Sharia law, that are putting up microphone or loudspeakers to play the call of prayer. None of this is all foreign to America. It's all foreign to American culture, and it is not in line with our values, with the American values. And it's a problem. It's a serious problem. And Charlie Kirk was calling it out right before his assassination. Check this out. Charlie Kirk's we think this was his last tweet right before. So this was, I believe, the day before. But this was because he retweeted this right before his assassination. And so check this out. This is the social contract. Oh, I'm sorry. All right. Can everybody see that? Very good. All right. So this was Charlie Kirk's tweet. Here we go. This is the social contract breaking down. We need urgency to restore it. Now, one of the things that Charlie Kirk had was Trump's ear. And he had the Trump administration's ear through Eric and others. And we need someone to basically go fill that role who is 100% America first again, because we're missing that right now. And unfortunately, the Trump administration is still full of neocons and globalists that we need to ferret them out. But anyway, we need urgency to restore the social contract, the American social contract, the American dream. Mass deportations currently underway. Tom Homan's doing a great job, but not good enough. We need 10,000 a day, and we're not there. Stop the HB1 visa scam. Shut it down. No more HB1, low-cost tech workers in America. You want to hire American. We've got to get rid of that. Dramatically reduce legal immigration. We have so many immigrants right now. They need to assimilate, just like we did, I believe it was post 1930 or 1940, where we essentially shut off immigration until everybody that had immigrated could assimilate. We got to let people assimilate into American culture. End chain migration entirely. If you want to immigrate to America, you can immigrate, but that does not mean you get to bring 37 of your extended family. And end the visa lottery. Visas and immigration, and the right to come to America to immigrate are only given to people by merit. We evaluate who we want in the country and we let you in. Now, that may be augmented by the president's gold card program, where people of means who agree to assimilate can essentially pay their way in, but that we use that merely to pay off the national debt. Build 10 million homes for Americans and crush the college cartel. 100% agreed. Now, how do we build 10 million homes? That's a good question. That's something we'd have to work out policy-wise. But the reason he says that is this chart right here. Estimated percent of 30-year-olds who are both married and homeowners. And in just a generation, from 1950 to 1960, it was going up. We were at 53, 54, 55% in 1960. And then it starts to fall off. And then in 1990, it runs off a cliff. We are now below 15%. By the look of this graph, it looks like what, 6, 7%? 6 or 7% of the American population is both married and a homeowner. That is a direct affront to the American dream. The ultimate form of happiness and fulfillment is family. Now, a lot of people may disagree with that. A lot of materialists, a lot of atheists may disagree with that, but that's the way God set it up. It's the way God designed human beings. His very first command was be fruitful and multiply, because God knew the ultimate fulfillment was in family and children. And that's what people are finding out. You see, feminists out there decrying the fact that they gave up their opportunity to have kids, and now they're 50 years old, and maybe they made it in their career, but they're unfulfilled, they're unhappy, they're miserable. But Charlie Kirk was tweeting about, how do we fix this? That's how we got back to, these were the 6 things that he said to fix this. Crushing the college cartel is one of them. In other words, stop indoctrinating people into nonsense. So Benny Johnson had a couple people on, but he had Chip Roy on. And I thought Chip Roy provided an excellent anecdote example to how this is playing out in America, in a red state like Texas. Let me know what you think in the comments. Really appreciate everybody rolling up. We got so many people. We got Resnap, we got Eric Smith. Thanks so much for being here. Lynn Sanger's in the house. Lynn, so far, I hope we get a lot in until you have to run to your yoga. Aaron's in. Really appreciate you being here. Nikki, Kimberly, thanks so much. All right. Check this out from Chip Roy, which I believe is extremely applicable, because he talks about what's going on in Texas, just about what Charlie Kirk tweeted about. Here we go.
Betrayal, the dream of home ownership, and a functional society has collapsed in one generation since the greatest generation in World War II, and it's something that we got to fix. Charlie's solution, obviously, is mass deportations and ending H-1B scams, among other things. What's your take on this, Congressman?
Well, first of all, I did listen to virtually all of Byron's interview, and there's a reason that I've endorsed him for governor. We agree. We are great friends. We work together in the House Freedom Caucus. We are aligned philosophically on a lot of these issues. So I agree with much of what he said. But what I would just add is, as you know, in Texas, we've been dealing with the brunt of the illegal immigration influence. But now we're seeing, I think, the ramifications of the H-1B system and how it has been abused, in addition to chain migration and diversity visas, which we've been trying to fix for a long time. And we've been unable to do so. You'll remember back in 2018 with the various bills that were being debated in President Trump's first term, and we were unable to get that resolved as Republicans, and it left it both broken with respect to the illegal immigration system. We didn't get the wall fully built. We didn't get fixes to all of the asylum problems and the abuse of parole and the catch and release. But we also didn't address ending the chain migration and diversity visas. We had language to do it. We just couldn't get the votes. So now, what are we dealing with in Texas? We're dealing with a massive Islamism problem. We're dealing with a massive problem of the advancement of Sharia law. We're dealing with a mass community that is growing up that have no desire to assimilate and come here to become American and embrace Western civilization, embrace our Constitution, embrace our values. We've allowed the corporatists to define our entire national policy. And if I were going to go talk about what Charlie's tweet there was about, that summary, which is exceptionally on point, and as he always was when he was starting from faith, family, the foundational principles, and that encapsulates it very well. You should be able to own a home. You should be able to have Americans getting jobs. And the mass deportation is correct. The ending H-1B visas is correct, etc. But what I would point out here is that we're dealing with a cultural problem about who we are as Americans. Going back a couple of years ago, I was noting.
So Chip Roy is absolutely correct. And as somebody who lives in Texas, I see this problem firsthand. We have a massive influx of Muslim immigrants from whatever country they are, Syria, Pakistan, Egypt. We've seen from all over the place, but there is a serious problem. I believe Abbott has successfully shut it down using, permit issues, but they were trying to build an entire Muslim community out basically west of Dallas. That would be a Sharia law Muslim community. And based on the permits and some other things, Abbott basically, they shut that down for the most part. We'll see if it comes back. But we have mosques being put up all over the DFW Metroplex. My question is, where are these people coming from? How are we granting so many people the ability to come to this country? It's amazing. Now, some of them were brought in as refugees, and they've got EBT cards and money and all sorts of things because they're living in very nice, affluent neighborhoods. So yes, to answer your question, Reznab, we are seeing this Islamism problem in Texas, 100%, and it's a shame. And some of them do want to assimilate, but there's a whole group that don't. They don't assimilate. They are in their own balkanized little communities. And it's very scary because they don't hold the same American values that we do. There are some fundamental values that they do not hold. They believe in things like child marriage, in genital mutilation. They believe in things like Sharia law, which is absolutely, it runs afoul of the Constitution of the United States. So we have to be very careful. And Charlie Kirk was absolutely right. We have to get back to the soul of America. And I think we need to seriously curb all immigration. We've ended illegal immigration. We need to seriously curb all immigration. And this is where I agree with Trump. We may need to end the filibuster and start codifying a lot of this stuff. Start codifying the end to chain migration. Start codifying the end to anchor babies. Start codifying things like no more HB1. We need to start codifying some of this stuff. We need to codify into law. You must be a citizen to vote. He needs to right now. They need to accelerate the 2030 census and make sure while the Republicans are in office that no illegal immigrants are counted whatsoever. No immigrants, period. that the only people counted in the census for purposes of apportionment of congressional seats and electoral votes are U.S. citizens. If you want to count everybody else in terms of a census, you can count them, but they must have the moniker of non-citizen, meaning they do not count for apportionment of seats. We need to make sure that we fix the latent immigration problem and the election problems before this term is over. And I'm afraid in many cases that Trump is being led astray by the neocons and the globalists in his administration away from these things. Now, he is calling for the end of the filibuster. And if it is to accomplish these things, I'm all for it. It's a dangerous game, but I think one that we can play, because if we do it right, we will make sure that the Democrats basically never hold a majority again, at least for the next generation. Let me know what you think in the comments. Mighty, I agree. Codify and make the changes. 100%. All right. Now, to that end, in kind of in relation to this story, Charlie Kirk has long been, he's long talked about the problem of Islam and Islamism in America. He's long talked about the shift in American culture that we need to talk about. And one of the things that he said was in one of his tweets was this right here. If we want things to change, it is 100% necessary to prioritize the senseless murder of Irina Zarutska and other things like it, because it was politics that allowed a savage monster with 14 priors to be free on the streets to kill her. This goes back to the illegal immigration and the legal immigration problem that we are facing in America. So as we jump into this next segment, again, I really appreciate everybody rolling up. Please, thanks for taking your time to be here at Courageous Media. Please smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and if you like the content, please share Courageous Media with everybody that you know. It really helps us out in the YouTube algorithm. But Charlie Kirk was 100% right. Charlie Kirk was 100% right on immigration. He was 100% right on legal and illegal immigration. He was 100% right on the need to help Americans buy homes, to get their material piece of the American dream, to get a home that is theirs, that no one can take away from them. And that is extremely important. By the same token, it is also important to begin to politicize some of these things so that we can have change. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. We think by a trans-loving, homosexual, ultra-leftist. Do we absolutely know that for sure? I do not. There are still too many questions in this thing. There are too many things that are holes in the narrative as that have been released to us. Now, obviously, the feds are preparing a case. They're getting ready to go to trial. Unfortunately, I believe the judge has already ruled that there would be no cameras there, which is ridiculous. This was a political, public execution. It needs to be a public trial. And all of this needs to make known. The public needs to know what's going on. We cannot have another JFK nonsense. But the one, there's Candace Owens has been out there, with all sorts of innuendo and, talking about things that she has questions about. There were Egyptian special forces people in Utah at the time. There were, all sorts of Israeli cell phones there. You've got all sorts of issues. You've got lots of questions. But I think the one fundamental piece of evidence so far that has really, really thrown a wrench in this thing is that they're saying that Charlie Kirk's neck stopped a 30-06 high-powered rifle bullet, and that does not happen. So that's the biggest. So far you could create a narrative for everything else. And again, we don't know the narrative because the feds haven't made it aware to us. But the one thing we do know is that the surgeon, not the forensic examiner, but the surgeon said it was a miracle. Charlie Kirk's neck bone stopped a 30-06. No, they did not. Come on, give me a break. So that's a major problem. But anyway, Charlie Kirk was 100% right. We need to politicize this stuff if we ever want change. And to that end, we're dealing now with major stories that we are gaining more and more and more evidence on. And that evidence is being released by none other than people like Tulsi Gabbard. We've also got some, releases by the DOJ and by the feds. We now know that there's a whistleblower that is absolutely blowing the doors open on the pipe bomb case as part of J6. And so what I want to get into next is, where is the action? I want action. I get extremely hopeful when I hear of, impaneled grand juries in Florida. I get extremely hopeful when I hear of 30 subpoenas. Okay, great. Where are the arrests? Where is the actual action? Check this out. Benny Johnson had the Capitol Police Chief on his show, but before that, he got into the fact of this J6 whistleblower on the pipe bombs. Check this out.
And now Thomas Massie is calling out FBI silence on reported Capitol Police involvement in planting the January 6th pipe bomb. Okay? Thomas Massie is questioning the Trump administration's silence on allegations that U.S. Capitol Police planted pipe bombs discovered near the Capitol. Massie weighed in on the report, claiming that the FBI, CIA, and Capitol Police are implicated in the story, and he continues to denounce leading figures in the Trump administration like Patel, Pam Bondi, and John Ratcliffe, saying it's...
Okay. Now, when Kash Patel, Pam Bondi was not my first choice for AG. I wanted Gates. I wanted them to go to the mats for Matt Gates, but he withdrew. So we never got that chance. Personally, I think Trump should fire Bondi and basically recess appoint Matt Gates, and let's just roll. And let's start making some actual progress here. I think Pam Bondi's been good at some stuff, but the lack of action that I'm seeing, and it goes right back to this story right here. Thomas Massie, we now know that there is a whistleblower. We now know that Steve Baker did the research on the gate, basically using AI and other factors of video that we now know the person who planted the bomb was, I forget her name, Shawna Karuska, but basically a Capitol Police officer, one of the same Capitol Police officers that was also guilty of firing pepper spray bullets at close range into the faces of protesters in order to spark a riot. So we now, and we also now know that there were 300 FBI agents and assets in the crowd. We now know from video that it was FBI agents with earpieces that ripped open barricades, that broke windows, and then blamed it on J6 protesters who were basically saying, no, I'm out. I have nothing to do with this. And we have it on video. We have on video Capitol Police escorting people through the Capitol peacefully. Those same people were then arrested for interfering with with federal proceedings, with breaking and entering, with trespassing, with insurrection. So Thomas Massie, for as much as some of the things he says I don't like, is absolutely correct. Where is the action on this? Where is the FBI and the DOJ in terms of arresting the person who planted the pipe bomb? She should be handcuffed, perp walked right now in public. She should be in prison awaiting trial. Where are the arrests for everybody else, for all of the federal agents that we now know were in the crowd? Where's the arrest warrant for Ray Epps? Going to the Capitol, where people were actually not listening to him because they knew he was a Fed. So we have some serious issues. Let's keep going.
It's been 3 days and still no response. Thomas Massie has come out with whistleblower evidence here. Thomas Massie obviously frustrated with all of this, saying, based on my questioning of witnesses, reporting of Steve Baker and others, and this new 11-page whistleblower disclosure, I believe management of the FBI has been covering up or has grossly incompetent. Revelations about the pipe bomb investigation require answers. So here is the post that he put up. The Honorable Thomas Massie says, this is a protected disclosure by an FBI employee, United States Congress, related to gross misconduct. So it says, pursuant to the whistleblower protections, please accept the following as a protected disclosure from a specific FBI agent. This agent believes that there was gross misconduct or fraud on January 6th Capitol Police pipe bombing case, providing the information to show that the FBI agents came within yards of the person who has been identified as the likely pipe bomber. The FBI surveillance team agents were ordered to cease their investigation, denied permission to conduct at least one logical interview, and immediately removed from surveillance assigned to do General Lee's work. Okay. So what Thomas Massie is providing here is a like excuse me, an FBI whistleblower disclosure saying that effectively, something that we've covered on this program, that there was a muscular attempt to stop FBI agents from actually investigating the J6 pipe bomber. That is demonstrably true. That is absolutely true. What is the rest of the 11-page disclosure? I don't know. It's not copied here. That's protected. But we do know somebody who knows so much about this, and it is Capitol Police Chief, former.
So he's absolutely right. Remember, we've got an FBI agent, Kevin Safani, or I believe that was his name, who was investigating all this under the Biden administration, and then was basically told, quit it, stop. So Thomas Massie is absolutely right on this. When it was under the Biden administration, we knew the FBI was covering it up, but why do we not have any answers now? Why do we not have any further action? Why do we not have mass arrests of all the people? Yes, the J6 committee was given pardons, but not everybody involved. Pam Bondi, as Gregory A. says, hasn't arrested anyone for the J6 Fedsurrection. And we got problems with statute of limitations now. So either they're going to be included in some grand conspiracy RICO case, or we're going to lose this. And it has to start happening. Where are the arrests? Now, we recently got this tweet, from the Justice Department, and as such. And I want to highlight it, not because I believe this is just indicative of what we've seen over and over again. Pam Bondi and Kash Patel exposed Clinton corruption files. New evidence that Bill and Hillary Clinton's foundation collected donations from foreign and domestic interests seeking influence. It was a pay-to-play scheme, billions of dollars. So they've released that they've got new evidence. Where are the arrests? We've had a lot of this evidence we've had for decades now. We know that the whole Clinton Foundation and all of the money for Haiti was a fraud. They pocketed that money. It was pay-to-play influence money, and a lot of it was foreign. There's massive links between Ukraine foreign donations and influence peddling and Hillary Clinton when she was Secretary of State. We know that Joe Biden and his family accepted $10 million from Ukrainian sources in order to stop the prosecution of Burisma and his son. All of this is there. Where are the arrests? We are done with congressional hearings. We don't want congressional hearings. I want grand jury proceedings. I want jury trials. That's what we need to have happen. Where is all of that, Pam Bondi? Which is why I think I would love to get Matt Gaetz in there, because I don't think we would have the same issue. And it goes right back to here we are here. Just to reiterate this story, Shawnee Kirkhoff has been identified as the person who planted the pipe bomb based on her gait, which is as unique as a fingerprint. So should she be incarcerated immediately? No, but she should be arrested. She should be arrested and investigated and charges brought, and then let the chips fall where they may. If you can't prove the case, you can't prove the case. She should at least be brought in for questioning. And if it's like J6, she should be perp walked right into an interrogation room, and let's start asking the questions. But it should be done publicly. This is getting ridiculous. The lack of action on the surrogates in the Trump administration is becoming very telling. It's becoming frustrating to a lot of the MAGA base. Let me know what you think in the comments. I really appreciate everybody rolling up. I would love to hear what you think. Remember that in the midst of all this, God is good and he is sovereign. It'll all be good in the end. Please, if you're watching, smash that like button for me. Share Courageous Media with everybody that you know, so that we can help flip the YouTube algorithm and get out of whatever box they've put us in. But I really appreciate everybody being here. Have yourself a great, great hump day, and we will catch you again tomorrow.